Hey, what's going on, everyone? Seth Miranda here for Adorama TV in what will soon be our production, live streaming, blah, blah, blah space. But clearly we're working on it right now. Like, I actually am taking a break from setting some stuff up because I wanted to let you guys know about the new Fujifilm X-S10. So what is this? What do we have coming out from Fujifilm right now? Off the bat, it's basically a nice, small, compact, streamlined body for making content, just taking away the intimidation factor and making it easy to create quality content, which you know you'll get from Fujifilm. We'll get into the colors and all that stuff, but let's get into the form factor to begin with, because I think that's kind of like the first thing you notice. Off the bat, it's tiny, it's small, it's really compact. I can travel with this, I can stick it in a bag, have it with me all the time and not really worry about it too much. But it does take interchangeable lenses because it has the X mount. So you have all this FUJINON glass that's fantastic. A lot of options out there when it comes to that stuff for the Fujifilm system with the X mount and the X-Trans sensor, which is 26 megapixels APS-C on the X-S10. As far as what I keep saying about the body design being nice and sleek and minimal and streamlined is because usually when you look at a Fujifilm camera, you see a lot of dials for shutter speed, ISO, you see the aperture settings and everything. It's very tangible. It's romantic in that traditional photographer sense, but anyone new to the game might be a little bit intimidated by that and just thinking, well, this camera or these systems might not be for me. Here, you kind of get that alleviated, if you will. You have all your settings, you know, manual, aperture priority, shutter priority, program, but you also have some really fun stuff like colored filters. And when you set those things up, it's basically like being in Instagram. It's basically like being on social. It's people that are used to that platform and using their phones and things like that, getting more in touch with using the camera as a tool that they're familiar with rather than a new tool in general. Okay, so you're here with me inside the EVF. You're actually looking at the eye autofocus, tracking my eye to keep me in focus while I do this. Something great to have, obviously, but let's go over to those filter modes. So if I just go to the mode dial and I slip us over to filter settings. So right now you're in toy camera, and that's a fun one to have, but you'll actually see that these will tell you what your setting is and what it actually does to the image. Like, this is miniature, out of focus here, out of focus down here, sharp somewhere in the lower center to kind of mimic kind of more of a macro or tilt shift kind of thing. But let's fly through some of these so that we can see what we're doing. Pop color, high key, low key, dynamic tone, soft focus, which is a fun one. Not to mention you have the partial color, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, and even purple. And what this is, let's go to green, because it basically keeps everything in black and white except for the color you're partial to, green. So it's a lot of fun. It's a great little thing to click into if you're someone that's just getting into photography or used to shooting with your phone or only in Instagram or using presets or filter settings in general with other apps inside your phone. It gives you all this creative option without having to be tied to full control. So if you're someone that just wants to grab the camera, go and make some fun stuff, there you go. Now, of course, you got to know about the video modes. We got 4K 30, but you even have 240 frames per second for all that nice, luscious slow-mo that people are into, and you get that in full HD. So 240 frames per second gets you back, if you want to put it into like layman's, is like 10 times slow-mo, which is fantastic, especially for people out there that are trying to do some action stuff or show some detail stuff or just give some, you know, something worth looking at when it's something a little more mundane. It abstracts the world for you a little bit. Or let's say you're someone into fitness and you want to show range of motion and movement. You have that, and that 1080 is great for Instagram resolution. So, of course, you know I'm going to mention this, that it's good for vlogging, right? We have the flip out screen. You can see what you're doing, that you're looking at yourself. You have all that freedom and ability to just one person produce something, right? But you also have the onboard mic as usual, but even over here with the micro HDMI cable, you can video out, and you have USB-C, and the USB-C can adapt to give you a headphone connection to monitor the audio, which is great. So they didn't make the camera bigger with a headphone jack if you didn't need it, but if you need headphones for monitoring, you have the ability to do so through the USB-C port. Keep that in mind. It does take the usual Fujifilm batteries, so if you're already in the system, you probably already have some of these batteries depending on what camera you're using out there, and it does have a single slot SD card slot, which is great. And of course, Fujifilm came to the table with photo specs as well. So for stills, we're looking at 8 frames per second. You can go as low as 80 ISO or up to 512 ISO, which is great because you never know what you're walking into when you're taking around a camera like this, where you keep taking minimal gear with you, you're not taking lights. But even if you don't, little tiny pop-up flash, which is great to have in the need cases, right? You don't always want to use it, but it's there if you need it. And maybe you just like that style of having that really on-camera harsh flash, or something just to fill in the shadows during the daylight. So it's not just, oh, I have daylight and whatever that pattern I get. You can now, you know, change the density of the shadows on your subject with a nice little pop-up flash. It's a nice little touch. So you have both, right? Harsh, crazy, on camera, you know, that event style that feels very paparazzi, whatever you want to call it. And you also have the ability to make natural light just that much more refined with a little tiny pop-up flash, which is always good to have in my opinion. And you even have some extra fun options like panorama mode. It'll actually take photos while you pan. So let's just do one really quick. And there you go. You're looking at a bunch of bounce boards and Fernando looking at me like we're doing a great job today. And the overall interface and button layout and everything is very intuitive as well. Whether you've been in the Fujifilm system in the past, currently in it, or coming from a different camera system, you've got your usual suspects. You've got your front dial, your rear dial, your joystick. The back panel itself is very familiar to the Fujifilm system if you have a different body type. Like I use the X100V a lot. It's one of my favorite cameras ever, coming from the X100F. Very familiar. But now we also have this dial right here. And what this guy's letting me do is, if I'm in a mode and I'm trying to select something specifically, let's say I go into the selection for the film simulations. Well, I can just literally dial over to whatever it is. That includes the filter settings and everything else. So if you're someone that's not so used to handling cameras and you're just trying to figure out, well, is it the joystick or how do I do it? Is it what, how do, you don't have to worry about it. You just always get into the muscle memory of going over to the dial on the left side for your selection. And I've mentioned those film simulations, right? Fujifilm is famous for their color. Well, those film simulations are part of that, especially since Fujifilm, to our face, has told us that the people who have created the film simulations are the same people who created the actual calibration and color schemes and color theory and science and everything for the original film stocks that we came from years ago. So it's not just like a fake, maybe it's sort of like it. No, it actually is a simulation for the people who created the original. And in this camera, you have all the ones up to date at the time of this recording, which the newest one is Eternal Bleach, which is a lot of fun to use as well. All right, well, I got to get back to work here at Adorama building this production space for more videos right here on this channel. Just remember, the one thing you really got to worry about with the camera more than anything is, does it make you want to pick it up and use it? Because you got all the features and specs in the world, but it has to be fun. It has to be easy to use. And I think that's what they pulled off here in the X-S10. You get the power of the image quality, you get all the flexibility, you get that great color, and you get the usability right in your hand, and you don't have to worry about having it with you, because your odds are you're going to carry something with you that's this small. All right, guys, if you have any questions for me about the X-S10 from Fujifilm, hit me with a comment down below. I'll do my best to answer it. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and the bell for more videos like this. Share this video around, of course, if you know anybody that's been looking for something like this X-S10 from Fujifilm. And I will see you guys next time. Later. Totally put this in backwards and it ejected it back at me.
It's okay, I can cut right there. Or use this as an Easter egg.
Oh yeah, Easter eggs, I love it.